Hi, I'm Travelin' Jim. I go from place to place looking for interesting things to show you. This show, we will be traveling to Dover, Ohio for the Dover Steam Show. Rick Logan, the track announcer, will be our guest host. He will be giving us a guided tour of the showgrounds. Special guest host is James Boblins, who is the curator of the Huber Machinery Museum. He will be giving us a tour of the Huber Museum display at the show. So steam's up, hope you like the show.
Okay, good morning. My name's Rick Logan. I'm the announcer, the host here of the Dover Steam Show. It's presented by the Tuscarawas Valley Pioneer Power Association. This is our 46th annual show this year, and we're going to give you a little tour of the steam engines we have here today. We're standing here in front of an Altman Taylor. It was built right out here in Mansfield, Ohio. It belongs to Marilyn Maltz. Her and her husband rescued this engine out of a barn that had burnt, and Jim restored it, and now Marilyn runs it and just, does a wonderful job with it. This is a 20 horse 1922 model Altman Taylor, and this is a 65 horsepower case. It belongs to Irvin Hirschberger. I don't know the year on it, but like I said, it is a 65 horsepower case engine built in Racine, Wisconsin by the J.I. Case Thrashing Machine Company. Okay, here we have a 15 horse Russell compound engine. And what I mean by compound, it has two cylinders. It has the main cylinder and a second auxiliary cylinder. The steam's used twice. It goes through the small one first, exhausts into the big one where it expands again and gives it more energy. It was the idea, it's more economical on steam and water that way. This engine here is owned by the Poly family. They bought it here a couple years ago. This engine had been rescued years ago by another gentleman. It's a 15 horsepower engine on a 16 horse boiler, and the engine's named is Aiden. They named this engine after an old dear friend of theirs that passed away that inspired them to get into the steam trade, and that's how the name Aiden came about. All right, this engine here is a 25 horse Huber steam engine. Hubers were built right out the road here in Marion, Ohio. And this is our feature here this year. And this particular Huber is a 25 horse, but it is on a 30 horsepower boiler, which means the boiler is a little bit larger, has more capacity, because the farmer that bought it originally wasn't happy with the ability of the engine. So the factory took it back, took the engine off, and put it on a 30 horse boiler so that he'd have more steaming capacity, which made it a lot more efficient engine, I guess would be the right way. This engine belongs to Mose Miller and is run by his son Roman. Okay, here behind me is our sawmill. This particular mill here is an enterprise mill. It was built here in Ohio, and it's a mill that would have been taking out into the woods. They'd have taken it out, set it right up where they were cutting trees, and taken either a steam engine like we're using or a gas tractor and run the mill right there and cut, they'd cut the trees down, they'd drop them, they'd bring them right straight to the mill, cut them up into lumber, and then haul the lumber. gas engine area, they call it the hit and miss area, because most of these engines are hit and miss governed. But as you can see, there's a little bit of everything behind me, all kinds of different engines, all the parts and pieces that went with them, and a little bit of everything else. This is one of them areas that you got to come and experience for yourself and look around, because there's so much there. I don't think anybody could tell you everything. This is our stationary and model steam area, where they bring in stationary engines that were used in plants and factories and all kinds of different things. They would use a steam engine in everything from a clothing store to run their presses and all that.
I'm James Boblenz from the Huber Machinery Museum from Marion, Ohio. We were invited to be a part of this show here at Dover, and I brought over an exhibit from the museum which we frequently bring out. And the one is Huber's first invention, was a revolving hay rake. And what that does, the original horse rake, that big beam in the middle was clear at the back. When the horse pulled the front and the man walked along the back, they loaded up 4 feet of hay, and they had to stop the horse and dump. Huber's invention was to move the beam to the middle and make it revolve. So when the horse pulled it and it got full, the driver, the farmer, all he had to do was raise the handles, the teeth would catch in the ground, this whole thing would raise up and flip over and dump the load, and then the teeth at the back would be in the front and they would be raking. Huber also he stayed with haymaking and grain harvesting, and with haymaking, besides the rake, he made a hay carrier, and these went on the top of the barn along the peak of the barn, and hook on a fork of one kind or another. The first one was a single prong harpoon fork. This would lift the hay off the wagon up to the top of the barn and scoot it back to the barn where they needed to dump it to normally on our exhibit, we don't take out a tractor because we don't want to compete with the tractors that are in the field from the club members. But in this case, we did bring one over. It's a very unusual. It's a 1935 modern farmer Model S.